Now they begging for a fight. Now they want to fight me now. I don't sell, so there's no need for you to even mention my name no more. Don't say Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
But in the same token, Jaron Ennis had a
Cause he a hater.
Nah, you think so? You think he had something to do with it?
Hater. Cause he a hater.
Stand it, but don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said you never heard nothing else back about it. So right. I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, but don't be capping on the net.
Come on, man. Boots had a chance to fight me. Virgil Ortiz had an opportunity to fight me, but now everybody, I fight Terence, or I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, okay, cool. When y'all had y'all opportunity, y'all went elsewhere. But now that y'all see I'm the ticket, now y'all like, oh yeah, we want to fight Terence Crawford. We want Terence Crawford.
A fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and a fight that stylistically would be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
What do you like watching now?
Terence Crawford, one of my favorites to watch now. I love Terence Crawford, and I like to watch NUA too. NUA can fight. And you know who else I like to watch though? I like to watch Boots.
Oh, okay.
Boots, I love watching Boots. Boots got game. People don't understand Boots got game. You know what I'm saying? Boots, every now and then he mess on defense a little bit, but Boots got game.
Boots versus Terence Crawford.
Now, Boots hasn't proven himself enough to tell me for me to say that he gonna beat Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford still is.
Amid all the ongoing talk, Eddie Hearn has stepped in, labeling Ennis as the next Crawford and expressing a strong desire to make the fight happen to prove his point. Hearn has acknowledged that convincing Crawford won't be easy. It would require a significant payday since it's a risky matchup. This is exactly the angle Boots has been hinting at himself. If Crawford truly thinks he's the best, then facing Ennis shouldn't be something he fears.
Crawford says, show me the money. And I'm like, well, Crawford, you're the A side. You're supposed to show Boots Ennis the money. That's the funny part about it. You keep telling Ennis to go get the money. You go get the money. You're the A side. Ain't that how this works? In boxing, the A side is the one doing the...
Hearn's observations reflect what many have noticed. Crawford's most notable victory came against an older version of Canelo, who was arguably past his peak. That fight seemed more like a strategic matchup rather than a true challenge. In contrast, Eddie sees Boots as a completely different opponent, young, energetic, and quick. He's not stationary, nor is he losing speed due to age. Crawford won't be able to simply circle the ring for 12 rounds and scrape by on tight decisions. Instead, it's expected that Crawford would need to trap Boots and finish the fight, and Hearn agrees with that assessment.
What's the fight, or who's the dance partner that makes Boots a star?
Right now, I don't even know anybody, for real, and anybody that got a big name.
Got you. Got you. But there's no exact guy that you think about? Because I don't want to ask you, hey, this guy, that guy. I know you get those questions a lot. So if you had to say, hey, this is the guy I think, we would have a big fight, who would it be? Because it doesn't seem like the Crawford fight would happen. So what's that dance partner for you, Boots?
Crawford's trainer, Bernie Davis, also joined the discussion, taking a shot at Boots by saying he's still got training wheels on. Davis pointed out that despite having over 30 fights, Ennis hasn't faced many truly elite opponents. He highlighted that Boots' recent opponents haven't been top tier and challenged him to step up and fight recognized names instead of padding his record against lesser competition. While this was meant to defend Crawford's legacy, it sparked another debate, because when you look back at Crawford's own career at age 28, the path he took was strikingly similar.
Ever since they sparred over a decade ago, no one's been a bigger Terence Crawford believer than Tim Bradley.
Right.
And so Tim still picks Terence to beat Boots, still picks Terence to beat Canelo, but as he continues to assess things, and this is how I felt for a while, is that it's a little similar, not quite all the way the same, but it's a little similar to the Canelo and Ben.
Crawford himself faced older fighters who were past their prime early in his career, much like Ennis is doing now. Names like Ricky Burns, Ray Beltran, Yuriorkis Gamboa, and Brightus Prescott were all on the decline when Crawford took them on. It wasn't until he was around 29 that Crawford faced a more prominent opponent in Viktor Postol. So, when Crawford's camp claims that Ennis hasn't faced anyone significant, it comes off as a bit ironic, and that irony fuels Boots' confident comebacks.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a...
Boots doesn't just rely on Crawford's team's opinions about his record. He's made his own stance very clear in the discussion. By excluding Crawford from his personal list of all-time greats, he draws a distinction between being a solid champion and reaching true greatness. When Boots mentions fighters like Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, and Sugar Ray Leonard, he's highlighting what real greatness means to him: exceptional athleticism, dominance, and victories over top-tier opponents in their prime. In his view, Crawford doesn't quite fit that mold, and wins over an older Canelo or Madrimov aren't enough to elevate him to that level.
Thing is, both of them knocked out David Evanesian while David Evanesian was swinging.
But look, the thing about Boots is he's staying in there. Oh, no, taking it up the gears. Nice.
Oh! That's what you do. They both were willing to get hit to hit.
Promoters like Eddie Hearn are already focusing on the financial angle. Crawford has strong backing from Turkey, which has invested millions in building his star status. Setting up a fight with Boots carries significant risk. If Crawford loses, it could seriously damage his carefully crafted image. Because of that, Hearn has expressed skepticism about whether Turkey would even approve such a risky matchup.
At the end of the day, y'all gonna have to see Boots. And we can't wait. I can't wait.
Why you rubbing your stomach?
And I'm gonna be right there.
You get to 154, you ain't coming the fuck back down.
That paper. He might do something strange for a piece of change that make me come back down.
He might say, man, remember when you was on the show and you was talking that shit and I said that I was gonna beat your ass and I want to fight you? What you doing up there? And I'm gonna be like, here I come.
He likened Crawford's victory over Canelo to polishing an old statue. It appeared impressive on the surface, but was more illusion than substance. In contrast, Boots represents a genuine challenge, and it would take a huge payday to convince Crawford to consider the fight. This alone reveals what insiders really think about Ennis. They recognize his threat, believe he has the ability to defeat Crawford, and understand that such a matchup could shift the landscape of the sport in the United States.
And he's smart.
Yes.
He don't waste no punches, man.
So he won't waste that energy.
And he really smart, man, when it comes to that boxing game. But it was me and I'm training him.
Yeah.
I would have him frustrating Canelo. What I would do with him...
Ennis has made it clear that he wants to become the next big star. And for him, beating Crawford is the ultimate goal. Even though Crawford isn't interested in the fight, Boots keeps bringing him up to maintain the pressure. By claiming he would knock Crawford out and regularly expressing his lack of respect, he keeps himself in the spotlight. Meanwhile, Crawford's refusal to recognize Ennis as a serious contender makes it seem like he's avoiding the challenge. Fans notice this dynamic and start questioning why the young, undefeated fighter is chasing after the older champion, only to be met with a firm no from Crawford.
Who punches harder? Jaron Boots Ennis or Terence Bud Crawford? Jaron's shots seem to be more thumping and more like a whip where they come out kind of wider. Jaron also twists his whole body behind each shot, gets a lot of leverage. Terence Bud Crawford's shots seem to be shorter and he gets more of that shoulder snap.
The criticism from Crawford's team doesn't change the fact that Ennis's career so far closely parallels Crawford's at the same age. They may say he still has training wheels, but Crawford had them too early on. The difference is, Crawford benefited from carefully chosen opponents who made his record look tougher than it really was, while Ennis hasn't yet had that kind of spotlight. However, Ennis possesses the same skill set and a similar record. That's why Hearn is backing him as the next Crawford. He sees a familiar path, but with Boots potentially having even greater athletic ability that could take him beyond what Crawford achieved.
You consider going back down to 154 and face Jaron Ennis, the guy who prepared Canelo Alvarez for this fight?
Nope. I ain't going down 154.
Following the Canelo bout, it's become simpler for Ennis to position himself as the challenger, since many in the boxing world were questioning whether Crawford had truly secured his legacy. That said, a fight with Crawford could be the big payday Boots is aiming for. If he lands the match and comes out on top, he could essentially overshadow Crawford's achievements. And it all begins with calling him out.
What we know?
I know everything.
I don't know nothing. I'm trying to find out what I know. Enlighten me.
What you mean enlighten me? You fought Devin East and you could have fought me.
You jumped up out of my sanction body to go fight in the IBF. So what I know?
What you mean?
What you mean? What I mean? Would you rank that in the WBA or not?
Yo, it don't even matter. Yo,
all right, catch up, little homie. Catch up, then. If it don't matter, catch up.
Yo, he picked that.
Boots has faced criticism for his comments about Terence Crawford's win over Canelo. Trainer Brian Norman Sr. didn't hold back in addressing the situation. When asked about Boots' remarks and what he thought of the fight, Norman said, "It's boxing. Why can't you just give him credit? If you have issues with anyone else, fine, but calling him a hater? Clearly, that's what he is." Speaking to Mill City Boxing, Norman pointed out that Boots had even predicted a Canelo win before the fight and stood by his prediction despite Crawford's victory. He didn't stop there, Norman added. "You said Canelo was going to whoop him. That's hater talk."
The difference is Crawford done been in a big stage against big fighters so many times. And also with age, he didn't beat up his body, so his age is actually good. He got the grown man strength. He not just grown man strength, but he built on top of that. Like look at him at 135. He was a little scrawny dude. He wasn't a big dude. Now look at him. He ripped up everything. He's strong. So sure. I feel like he got everything, all the experience.
Ennis's brief reply, "It's boxing," has been widely replayed and debated because of how detached it sounded. While many fighters and trainers saw Crawford's win as a historic moment, Ennis's refusal to acknowledge it was often interpreted as jealousy. Norman believes that acknowledging Crawford's achievement wouldn't have diminished Boots, but Ennis chose to keep his response short and dismissive. From Norman's perspective, that crosses into hate rather than honesty. Still, Ennis's reaction aligns with his own straightforward style. If he didn't find the fight impressive, he wasn't going to pretend otherwise.
No, he don't bring nothing to the table. He got our leftovers. Why would Bud want to go backwards? I want to go backwards. Bud looking for bigger and better fights, so where he can etch his name in the concrete forever. I don't know, cause I really don't look at none of the welterweights since we did clear the division out. I'm done.
Crawford fought mostly on the back foot, staying active and taking control in the later rounds as Canelo began to slow down. He rarely faced Canelo head-on, instead opting to circle, jab, and pick his spots. Ennis doesn't fight that way and doesn't see that style as equally impressive. To him, it resembled Shakur Stevenson's approach, focused on caution, with no dramatic moments or knockdowns. For Boots, that's not the kind of performance that calls for high praise. So when Norman or others suggest he should have said something complimentary, Boots simply disagrees.
Right now in my career, a lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. I win, they're gonna say, "Oh well, he was young, he wasn't ready." He was talented, he was skillful, but you got the experience over him. You got, so much.
Meanwhile, Crawford's camp has made it clear they're not interested in those matchups. After the Canelo victory, Brian Bomac McIntyre was asked about potential next steps. He responded firmly, "No, we're not doing that fight. No plans to vacate the belts. We're going to stay put for a while, then get back in the gym and focus on our own path." This was in response to questions about David Benavidez and Jaron Ennis. Simply put, Crawford isn't planning to face either of them anytime soon. They want some rest before making their next move on their own terms.
What about the Terence Crawford fight? I'm tired of answering questions about it. He already said millions of times that he not fighting me or looking my way, so I'm just tired of answering those questions, and if a fight happened, it happened. I want it to happen, but if not.
This leaves Ennis in a tough position, chasing a fight that Crawford's side insists won't happen. Crawford himself has already stated clearly, "No, I won't fight Jaron Ennis. I'm not dropping down to 154. That leaves no doubt, Boots isn't part of the plan. So when Ennis responds with short remarks like "it's boxing," he's mixing his honest opinion with the reality that Crawford has no intention of facing him. There's little reason for him to act like a fan of someone who's openly said he won't give him the chance.
For Terence Bud Crawford?
For a fight, yes. Just because I know where his skill level's at, and it's about skill in there. You know what I'm saying? It's not always about who's the biggest puncher. Sometimes it's about just, having the skill and the ring generalship in there. So I do think he's ready to step in there with the best of the best. It's just a matter.
Other names currently linked with Crawford highlight just how far apart he and Ennis really are. David Benavidez has been mentioned a lot, especially since he's been active at super middleweight and light heavyweight. While fans have speculated about a fight between him and Crawford, Bomac quickly dismissed the idea. Meanwhile, Janibek Alimkhanuly has also stepped forward, calling out Crawford to move up to 160 pounds. He tweeted, "If Crawford agreed to fight me, I'd gladly take the fight." It would be a matchup every fan would watch eagerly, not wanting to miss a moment. If Crawford makes the jump to middleweight, it would set up potential title fights against Alimkhanuly, Arislandi Lara, and Carlos Adames, clearly another path far removed from Boots.
It's not fair, but that's the game, bro. Because trust me, this game is more business than sport.
So what do you do if you're Boots? What do you do to get those?
You look for to maximize your money and fight somebody that's willing to step in the ring with you. Maximize what you get. Don't worry about what the other guys get, just to get active. He forgot. Just chase.
That puts Boots in a difficult position. Without any direct path to face Crawford, he relies on his words to stay relevant, which is why his criticisms get so much attention. Trainer Brian Norman Sr. sees Ennis's attitude as outright hostility. Instead of praising Crawford's win over Canelo, Ennis dismissed it. From his point of view, there's no reason to show respect to someone who isn't even considering a fight with him. He's already stated that Crawford doesn't belong among the all-time greats. When asked about Crawford's victory, Ennis simply replied, "It's boxing." He calls that honesty, not hate. But Norman Sr. isn't convinced, firing back with, "Clearly he hates him." What's your take? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.